26, and right now the entire world is basically holding its breath. Why? Because this rapidly spinning crisis between the United States and Iran has finally reached a boiling point. We are literally watching a clock tick down to a single decision that could throw the whole region into a massive war.
So what does it look like on the ground? Well, you're looking at it. A standoff right on the brink of war. We've got military forces from all sides moving into place, and tensions are just through the roof. Honestly, the situation is more volatile than it's been in decades.
And to really get a sense of how serious this is, think about this. What the United States is doing right now is its biggest military buildup in the Middle East since the invasion of Iraq back in 2003. This isn't just some warning shot. It is a massive, undeniable show of force.
So what kind of force are we talking about here? Well, just look. 2. Count them. 2 U.S. carrier strike groups. These things are basically floating cities of military might, led by ships like the USS Abraham Lincoln and the USS Gerald R. Ford. And they are all steaming into position, sending a message that is impossible to ignore. And that message? Yeah, it couldn't be clearer. President Donald Trump has laid it out in no uncertain terms. He's given Tehran a stark, black and white ultimatum. Give up the nuclear program or get ready to face the consequences. But okay, how on earth did we get to this point? To really understand that, we've got to rewind the clock just a little bit, back to June of 2025. There was this short conflict called the 12-Day War. And what's crazy is that at the time it was hailed as a success, but it actually set the stage for the much, much more dangerous situation we're in today. All right, here's the quick and dirty on that so-called 12-Day War. In June 2025, US and Israeli strikes hammered key nuclear sites: Fordow, Natanz, Isfahan. The thinking in Washington was, job done. We've set them back years, maybe even decades. But, and this is a huge but, the international nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, would soon find out that the most important stuff survived the attack.
And this is where a massive intelligence gap comes into play. You see, the US saw a tactical victory, wrecked buildings, damaged sites. But the reality, what the inspectors actually found underground, was at the heart of Iran's program. Its stockpile of highly enriched uranium made it through completely unscathed.
So just how bad was this miss? Well, check out this number. 400 kilograms. That's how much uranium survived. And this wasn't just any uranium. This stuff was enriched to 60%, which is just a tiny technical step away from being weapons grade. The core of the threat was never even touched.
So what's Iran's next move? Did they surrender? No way. They did the exact opposite. They started this frantic, all-out race to move their entire nuclear program deep, deep underground, trying to put it somewhere that even the most powerful American bombs could never, ever reach. And they had a very clear 4-part plan. First, beef up the security on their old sites. Then, take whatever equipment they could salvage and hide it in new underground bunkers. And at the same time, start smuggling in parts from China to rebuild their missile arsenal. But it was that third step that really got everyone's attention. They decided to start digging, deeper than anyone thought possible.
And that's how we get Pickaxe Mountain. I mean, the name pretty much says it all, right? This isn't just a bunker. It's a fortress being carved 80 to 100 meters straight down into solid granite. Its one and only purpose? To house their advanced centrifuges and survive a direct hit from America's biggest, baddest bunker buster bombs. Now, you're probably wondering, how is a country under all these sanctions paying for something like this? And that is a great question. The answer is kind of wild. It's this strange paradox of getting a lifeline from foreign friends while cracking down with extreme brutality on its own people at home.
So where's the money coming from? Well, that lifeline has a name: China. Just look at this. Beijing is buying up nearly 90% of all of Iran's oil exports. We're talking billions and billions of dollars pouring in. Money that's funding this whole underground project and, frankly, keeping the regime afloat.
But here's that paradox I mentioned. While they're putting on this big show of strength for the world, back home, the regime is fighting for its life. When massive protests erupted earlier this year, the government's response was just unthinkable violence. The cost was an estimated 32,000 of its own citizens killed in the crackdown. And all that brings us right back to where we started, to today, to this final do-or-die ultimatum. Behind closed doors, there are these frantic, high-stakes talks going on, but honestly, it looks like neither side is willing to budge an inch. I mean, just look at how far apart they are. It's night and day. The US is demanding zero enrichment, period. They want the entire program dismantled for good. And Iran's offer? A temporary suspension for maybe 3 to 5 years, while keeping all the key infrastructure in place. Their goal is just to buy time. The diplomatic gap between them is a canyon.
And Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, he's not mincing words. He's come right out and called the American demands excessive and outrageous. That's a pretty clear signal that Tehran is not about to just roll over and give up everything.
So what happens if the talking stops? Well, the stakes are just unbelievably high. We're not talking about a limited strike, we're talking about a potential full-scale regional war. You could see the Strait of Hormuz shut down, which would throw global energy markets into total chaos. And then you have other players like Hezbollah who could jump in and open up new fronts. The whole region could just go up in flames.
So that's where we are. Diplomacy is on life support. The military pieces are all in position on the board. The final demand has been made, and the only question left is, what happens next? Does Iran blink at the last second? Or is the world just days, maybe even hours, away from a devastating new war in the Middle East?